Jake Haynes is the new opposite for Team USA. I know it's a little early. I know it's only been 2 weeks of the VNL. I know it's only been 8 matches. But to me, there is zero doubt, none at all, that Jake Haynes is now the starting opposite for the American men's national team. His play is a big reason why the US is currently sitting in second in the VNL right now. Not only has Haynes been one of the best American players so far on the court, he's been one of the best players in the VNL, period. Now, with Matt Anderson moving to the left side, the right side of the court was one of the big question marks for Team USA coming into this VNL. Anderson's been over on the right for a long time, and there's no one who's been able to come up into that role and really challenge him for the spot or make it seem like there was a successor to Anderson on the right side. But now I really think Haynes has proven he's that guy. Now, I talked about it a little bit in my Team USA preview, but I'll go over it again. Right? There was 3 legitimate options when looking at the beginning of the season. Of course, you had Jake Haynes, but then you also had Kyle Ensing, who was the backup opposite for a number of years under John Sperot, and he was the alternate player at the Paris Olympics. And then you also have Gabby Garcia Fernandez, a player who naturalized himself from Puerto Rico to join Team USA and was the starter last year at the 2025 World Championships. But the thing is with both Ensing and Garcia is that both of these guys are backups, right? Ensing was the backup for Team USA for many, many years. And then finally, once he started playing in good leagues, he's been mostly the backup for Xavierci in the Plus Liga. Similarly to Gabby Garcia Fernandez, while he did spend some time as the starter at Padova in the past couple seasons, he's been the backup for Trentino. Whereas Jake Haynes has been the starter now for a number of seasons, right? He's been the starter for the past couple of years in Berlin. And before that, he was a starter in Poland. And over the years, there's been a lot of hate thrown towards Haynes' way, right? I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram. I've definitely seen it in the Discord and like on this very channel as well. Although you can go back and see that I've always been a big proponent and a big defender of Jake Haynes. In my view, he's always a guaranteed 20 bucket, right? He's a guy who can go out there, take a lot of volume and score 20 for you on a night in and night out basis. He's done it for Berlin the past couple of seasons, helping them win 2 straight Bundesliga titles. And then he did it in the Plus Liga before that as well. Sure, he was playing for Kuprin Lublin, one of the worst teams in the league. But when he was in Poland, he was averaging 4.21 points per set. And now I get it. Haynes doesn't do it in the prettiest way. He doesn't have the highest jump. He doesn't have the best looking swing. He's not the most aesthetically pleasing player at all. But he's a guy who can handle a lot of volume and can do it efficiently. And as I mentioned, not only has he been one of the best players for Team USA, he has also been one of the best players in the VNL, right? When you look at his stats, they have been incredible. He scored 116 points for the USA. He is leading them in points. When he is out there on the court, he's getting 27% of the offense, right? His usage rate is at 27% when he's out there on the court for Team USA. And he's also scored 30% of the points in the matches that he's played in. So he's definitely the go-to target on offense for Team USA so far in this VNL. But as I mentioned, he's also been hands down one of the best players in this VNL, up there with some of the biggest names in the game. Just on pure numbers, right? He is currently 9th in scoring with 116 points. He is 13th in attacking with 93 kills. He is 12th in blocking with 14 blocks. And he is 10th in aces with 9 aces. So in the 6 matches he's played. But when you look at this on a per set basis, Jake Haynes has been outstanding. I mean, he is currently 4th in the VNL in points per set at 4.64. And now Leon has only played 2 matches, so that's why there's an asterisk there. He is 6th in kills per set with 3.72. And once again, same thing with Leon. Plotnitsky has also played only 4 matches, so he's only played half that time. But more importantly, he has been outstandingly efficient. He's hitting at a 58% with a 46% efficiency. Now, the only outside who's better than that has been Leon, who, once again, has only played 2 matches. So Haynes, over the course of his 6 matches that he's played, has been incredible. On top of that, his 0.36 aces per set is tied for 6th overall in the VNL, and his 0.56 blocks per set is 2nd amongst opposite hitters. So he's the 2nd best right side blocker so far in the VNL. These numbers aren't out of nowhere. This is the type of stuff we see him do consistently in his club and professional seasons. And now, once again, I think this works out incredibly well for Team USA. Team USA plays a very system-based offense, and they have a setter who's able to execute it for them, right? Micah Christensen and even Micah Ma'a in the same way are setters who, when they have options everywhere, are at their peak. Look what Micah did this year with Verona, the numbers that their team was able to put up because he is able to spread that ball around, right? The U.S. hasn't really relied on one single hitter since it was Clay Stanley back in the 2008 Olympics. Micah works best on a roster where he can spread that ball around tactically. And no, I'm not saying that Haynes is going to be that go-to guy in those gut check moments. That's why you have guys like TJ DeFalco and Matt Anderson on the roster right now, guys like Aaron Russell coming back next year. But if Haynes can continue to be this guy who can eat up a lot of volume and do so efficiently, I think there is a long, bright future ahead for Jake Haynes, and I think he's going to be a huge part of this Team USA roster. And on top of that, he did half of these numbers in week 1 with Ma'a and Rowan setting, so you can't even say that he's just farming off of Micah Christensen's fantastic offense. I think the only question mark for me so far around Haynes' play has been his stamina. We saw in the 5-setter against Japan in Orléans, where in the first half of the match, into sets 1 through 3, he was 15 for 23 with a 60% efficiency, whereas sets 4 and 5, he went 6 for 13 with a 0% efficiency. And then he followed it up the next day with one of his worst matches of the VNL against Serbia, where he ended up getting subbed off after 2 sets. Although I think we can give him a break on that just because A, the heat was incredible in Orléans. They didn't have AC in that arena, and that's a huge change. But then also VNL is just such a grind after being on the road for weeks and weeks. In that way, it's really tough to play that many minutes. And that's not a situation that you're going to be required to do that in at a World Championships or at the Olympics. And, I know there's been question marks about his attitude in the past. And no, I'm not saying that he's one of those guys, freaks off at practice or anything else. But, we've seen blowups from him in Berlin where, in tight, really passionate games, he gets a little chirpy to the other guys at the net and with the referee. And then there's also some past incidences from him playing at Ohio State as well that have continued to circulate, around the fan base. In speaking to Haynes in the past, he's always seemed to me like a very smart and thoughtful guy. So I don't think he's a situation where, he thinks he's better than everyone else and just kind of pops off. I just think he's really passionate and really competitive, and sometimes that gets the best of him. I can relate. And all it really tells me is that Haynes is insanely competitive. And I think that's exactly what this Team USA needs, right? They haven't really had that guy who's just ultra competitive. Anderson is pretty low key. Micah Christensen and Ma'a are both pretty chilled. TJ DeFalco can be, pretty competitive as well, but he has his ups and downs. So I really think there's a spot for that guy who's just ultra competitive. And I also think it fits in perfectly for the ethos that Karch Kiraly has for this team. I feel like Karch wants that uber competitive guy. And if there's one person in all of volleyball who's going to be able to rein that in and kind of channel that energy, it's got to be Karch Kiraly, because he's not going to take any shit. And once again, I'm not at all trying to say that Jake Haynes is out there giving shit to Karch Kiraly. He's Karch. He's the GOAT. But if in a tight match, Haynes starts getting a little out of place, starts yapping a little bit more, Karch is going to yank him real quick and sit his ass on the bench. Now, I think the next big test for Haynes and this Team USA roster will be to see how he performs under pressure. And that's going to be done first and foremost at the VNL finals. I mean, they're pretty much guaranteed to be playing in the finals in China later on this year, and then also at the World Championships next year. But to me, the success that we've seen from Team USA isn't solely based off of Jake Haynes. Once again, Team USA plays a team system, but he has been a huge piece of that puzzle. And honestly, you love to see it. I love seeing him succeed so far in this VNL.